season, and we also mentioned how we expected there to be changes. And obviously we've made a lot of changes. We have 8 new faces on this roster. When we look at this roster right now, I think we're all encouraged by the blend we have in terms of our vets and the young guys that we have on our team. And you know, we brought in 2 guys in Dwayne and Rajan who have championship experience. We brought in a high-quality starting center in Robin Lopez. And then we have 2 holdovers in that regard in terms of Taj and Jimmy. Taj, just the ultimate pro, and Jimmy, who's 2-time All-Star, been our best player. So those 5 are going to be the heart and soul of our team. But we think that with their leadership, our young guys are going to have an opportunity to blossom and grow as players this year. We also made some significant changes in our training staff. We added Chip Schaefer, who is running up our sports performance area. Chip's was my trainer when I played. He's done a little bit of everything. We think his knowledge and expertise are going to benefit us in that area. And we hired Michael Orr, who is a physical therapist. Again, a lot of what we're trying to do is injury prevention, those type of things. So not just the player changes, but some of the training staff changes we made. When Gar and I spoke in April, you know, we made it clear that we had certain expectations of our players and our staff. And we feel really good given what both our coaching staff and our players have done this summer. Our young guys were in this building and working hard every day. Our vets are pros. They know how to work, how to get their bodies in shape. And the vibe that's with this group right now is really a positive. So we're encouraged. We're encouraged by that. And I think ultimately the expectation we gave to them at that time was that they have to be professional in their approach every day. There's going to be everything that they do, and that if we're going to have any success in any way, it's going to come from us being together and giving great effort as a unit. So that's really what we had focused on, and we're really excited about the possibilities that are in front of us. And it's the great thing about a new season starting and putting together a team. It's all out there in front of us, and for Gar and myself and our coaches and the players, it's obviously an exciting time. So with that said, we'll open it up to some questions.
For John, Cody Westrelin with 670 The Score. How big of a difference can Dwayne Wade's leadership make this season, and just the thought process behind adding him?
Well, I think both of us can speak to that. I think anytime you have championship experience in your locker room, especially at a level where a guy's been MVP caliber, I think that carries a lot of weight. And we've been, both Rajan and Dwayne, we've been thrilled.
I think you can see it already in our building this month when our guys have been in the building. Just the way they interact with the players, the way they lead on the floor, that kind of thing. We talked about in the spring, one of the things we talked about was getting younger, and we've gotten significantly younger with 10 players now with 3 years or less experience. I think we have 12 players that are 27 or younger. And in doing that, you still want to create a culture that's conducive to what John mentioned, the professionalism, the team-first attitude, some of those things, those intangibles that are so important. And I think having that type of veteran experience around your young guys is critical as we go through this phase where we were changing over the roster. And that, to me, that's what the veterans bring. And you know, you include, like John said, Jimmy and Taj in that, but Dwayne and Rajan have been incredible. Rajan has been here for a big part of the summer, and again, just the way he interacts with his teammates, the work ethic, he's in terrific shape. Even what he's done in the community, going out into the community and involving himself there, and we all know what Dwayne does. I just think those type of intangibles are so important, you know, for this roster where we're at today with this roster.
Patrick Benkowski, Sports Spotlight TV. John, for you. I wonder if you could compare this large roster change to any of the 80s Bulls teams you played on.
Not to this degree where we've had so much turnover. But, you know, when you have change and significant change, obviously the goal is to find, you know, a group that can come together, and that takes time. I mean, it's going to start. It's actually already started. Fred and his staff in this past month, just getting guys in there individually and working with them, like I said, the vibe was really, really positive. So our guys have worked. And now it's the function of the staff and the players during this month, during training camp. This is where you have to begin the process of growing. And I've always looked at, seasons in this way. If you stay healthy, then you want to reach your potential. And we feel like, just given our roster, we've got some guys who have had success in this league at a high level. They know how to play. And our young guys are going to have great opportunity this year. I mean, Nico, Mirotic, Doug McDermott, Denzel Valentine, these guys are going to get opportunity, and we're going to find out a lot about them. And in a lot of ways, that'll probably dictate, how well we do.
Hey guys, when you met with us in April, you talked about the confidence you had in Fred's ability to grow, and you mentioned that you're going to do everything you can in your guys' power to give him some help in that regard. Other than wins and loss, first of all, what have you done in that regard to maybe help Fred grow as a coach? And other than wins and losses, in what areas will you judge his growth?
Well, we talked a lot to Fred this summer. We had a lot of sit-downs, and I said it back in April. We expect Fred to grow as a coach just like we would any young player to grow after a year. I'm sure he'll tell you he learned a lot of things last year, and we do. We expect to see growth from him. I think that he's dialed in. He's focused. I mean, the conversations all of us have had together have been really productive in terms of how he wants to play and how he's going to go about instituting both offensively and defensively some differences that we didn't see last year. So again, this is the great challenge of any season. It's what's fun about it. It's when I played, when any part of that's what's wonderful about this time of year. So, but we have high expectations for our staff and our players.
Hi guys, in the back here.
Good to see you again, Nick.
You too, Gar. I missed you. It's been looking forward to this for a while. You mentioned how important Dwayne's going to be to the roster and to the makeup internally. Have you guys sat down and talked to him about any kind of minutes restriction there's going to be throughout the season, especially early on here?
Yeah, first of all, we've talked to him, our medical team and our athletic performance team. We've visited some with him, but that's going to be fluid. I don't know that any definitive answers have come from that yet, but it's obviously something that we'll watch in regards to Dwayne being a little bit older, but, really to a number of our players. We've obviously invested a lot in athletic performance, and it's an area that we've done a lot of study in, got a lot of analytics as far as in that area, and it's something that we're constantly monitoring with all our guys.
John, you mentioned already positive vibe a couple times and how important that was to you. In going back, were intangibles a driving force in terms of motivating you this summer to turn over the roster? And as you turned over the roster, how difficult was it to make those changes to a group that you at one point thought was good enough to win the NBA title? Well,
I mentioned last April that I didn't feel like that group had a collective fight to it. And the more I think all of us look back on it, that was true. And change was necessary. We battled a lot of different issues over the last couple of years in terms of injuries and those things, and those aren't excuses, just was our reality, and we had to try to fight through it. And it just, I think Jerry said it at the time in terms of trading Derek and allowing Joakim to go in free agency. It was time. I mean, we'd ridden that group a long way. With a little more luck, we might have had more success, but that didn't turn out to be the case. And we just felt it was necessary to try to take some steps forward. And I think the understated thing that we've done, signing Dwayne and Rajon are the big noted things, and their ages have been brought up a lot. But the reality is we are looking to the future too, and we have made significant changes in terms of the youth on this roster, and that we're excited about those guys. We feel like we have some young players in the fold now that will develop and grow into very good NBA players.
I think on the outside, a lot of people see a lot of unpredictability in this upcoming season. You guys know what you have. What do you think the identity of this team? I know you got to see them, all together tomorrow. But what do you think right now your gut is the identity of this team this season?
Well, I think that's still to be determined. I mean, we talked about some of the expectations for this team is, a togetherness, playing for each other. And I think in talking to the guys, I think they're totally on board. A level of accountability, a level of professionalism, creating that right culture that we need moving forward. John mentioned, we're excited about the young guys and the change of direction that we've had. So I think those type of things, are what we're looking for. Obviously, when you have a younger team, player development is crucial and was a big part of our summer. We thought our guys had a terrific summer. It started with Summer League and the experience they had there, but more importantly, what our young guys, the Felicios and McDermotts and Valentine and on that have been in this gym each and every day. The growth that they've had, we need to see that growth continue moving forward. And the other thing I'd add to what John said, and answer the question before, we were able, to change the roster and get younger, and in doing so, we really didn't sacrifice anything we're looking at into the future, and we've kept a great deal of flexibility from a cap standpoint and kept our assets moving forward, which, could be multiple first-round picks. So I think we're excited about where we're at today, but we're also excited about where we can be looking down the road, which was a big part of our plan going into this summer.
And one thing, Megan, too, about unpredictability, there's only a handful of teams in this league who can walk into first day camp and have real expectations. With so much turnover, there is unpredictability, but that's all across the league with a lot of teams. But there's also a lot of excitement, and like I said, we are excited about it. Now the proof will be in how well we come together, and that's the challenge.
Guys, right here. Last year, Jimmy Butler went through a bunch of growing pains with his relationship with you guys, his relationship with Fred. In what ways do you see him able to naturally grow this year? Will the roster turnover help him? Will more maturity help him? What do you think that you see as the biggest step in his growth?
I think it's just a process that, that he's had to go through from where he started in high school to being non-recruited, to being a junior college player, to going to college, being the last pick of the first round, to really not playing his first couple years. And then you continue to see the work ethic and the growth. And I think he was put in a position last year where he wasn't familiar with it, and I think we'll see growth from that. But the great thing about Jimmy is, he's coming in here each and every day, and he's giving it 100%. And we've seen it year after year. He gets better each and every year. And I think we'll continue to see that growth to his game, and we'll continue to see the growth of him as a person. And it's been really encouraging. I thought his experience this summer with USA Basketball was a real positive for him.
Hey, I'm curious, how do you think the presence of Rondo and Wade can help the younger guys on this team that maybe fans won't be able to see on television, how that sort of extends beyond the court as well?
Go ahead.
Well, I think some of the things I mentioned earlier, just their ability to relate, to teach younger players, what it takes on the floor, what it takes off the floor, how they prepare each and every day, how they prepare for practice, how they prepare for games. Again, those things are invaluable. And you're talking about two guys that have won and won at a high level. So to bring that into our building, we feel is really a positive.
I'll say this. If I were a young player on this roster and I saw Dwayne Wade in my building, Rajon Rondo, Jimmy Butler, you can throw Taj and Robin in there too, but I would be soaking up every day what they bring to the table. Because so much as the young players, you want to have longevity and success in this league, and there's examples right there in front of them. And so I think that's, again, one of the reasons that the changes were necessary, and it's created a different environment in our building this year. And what that means, look, we have to start from a base level, and the base level is culture and how our guys go about their job every day. That's why we're talking about professionalism and accountability. That's got to be the theme. And I think like I said, if I were a young player, I would soak up everything these guys bring to the table every day because it's just